Musica LA!
Welcome to Musica LA. I'm your host, Rocio Libertad Mendoza, and today we are at Soundbite Studios in Los Angeles, where we are joined by a group of very gifted musicians. Gloria, Estrada, Federico, Zuniga, and Gabriel have joined forces to form a powerhouse group called Viento Callejero. Welcome to Musica LA. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So, can you please introduce yourself, starting with you?
Yes, I'm Gabriel. I play the drums in Viento Callejero.
Gloria Estrada, I play the guitar.
Federico Zuniga, I'm the bass player.
And where are you all from? Are you all from Los Angeles?
I'm from Boyle Heights. Boyle Heights.
Cali, Colombia.
Oh, de veras?
From Cali to California.
I'm from San Jose, California.
Okay. So you're all very talented and accomplished musicians that come out of the rich music scene of Los Angeles, and you all come from very popular groups out of LA. How did you come together to form Viento Callejero?
Well, we formed earlier this year, and it was when I met Federico on tour with his previous band, Toquezon, and from that, when he moved to LA about a year ago, he hit me up and said, "Hey, I'm looking for some work, if you know of anything or any projects." And I said, "Yeah, I've always wanted to form this Cumbia project." We made that connection, and then we were on the hunt for a drummer. And I had seen Gabriel in Chicano Batman and in the scene, and we were just, auditioning drummers and came across him, which we thought he was from
Argentina.
Argentina.
Somebody, the rumor was he was from Argentina, and we're like, what?
He just came in. He came in and just nailed the songs that we sent out to him. We're like, "Wait, where are you from?" He's like, "Colombia." We're like, it makes sense.
The Cumbia God smiled on us.
That's right. That's right. So how would you describe your musical style?
Cumbia.
Cumbia related, cumbia, anything that is danceable.
But there's like a lot of funk influence, there's a lot of rock influence, there's just other types of dance influence just going in there. I think we're just kind of still discovering our sound and experimenting, and it's evolved, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. It's really, we have like different palettes of music that our backgrounds from the different music that we played before, and we're able to kind of break down the music a little bit. Some of the covers that we've chosen to study, and we try to find a way to just really bring it down to its raw elements and then collaborate together and make it a style that's kind of uniform, that kind of it draws from many influences, also from Cuban music, from reggae to funk, hip hop, but it still has an element from the raw element is still from Colombia.
And how long have you been together?
Not even a year.
Not even
Okay.
Not even a year. I think we brought Gabriel in about early January of this year. So,
What is the meaning behind the name Viento Callejero?
Viento Callejero. Well, this guy posed it to us amongst a bunch of names, and we did the voting thing and leaned towards that. And I think it was just more what the name represented. It felt like it was a kind of mystery. It was like party. It was like street. It was a little bit of everything, and I think that's kind of who we are.
Yeah.
Can you please share with us a little bit about your musical background and some of your inspirations?
I studied music. I mean, I took guitar in high school, but I eventually studied music, and I got my degree from USC. And along the way, especially living in LA, I feel that you have just so many styles of music that you can go and listen to at any given time. And growing up, obviously, you have the Mexican, well, I'm from Mexican descent, so I have the Mexican influence along with the American influence. So listen to rock. I mean, I grew up listening to like Zeppelin and the Beatles, and also Juan Gabriel and Ramon Ayala. So all of that just kind of seeps in there. And then as I got older, got into like blues, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and got into jazz, like Ella Fitzgerald and stuff like that. And kind of never ending. I'm still discovering stuff, and it's like you kind of go back and revisit, and it all kind of seeps into, I think, our playing as we just kind of get exposed to it.
I started playing drums when I was 15, 16 years. I started back in Cali, Colombia, and I played with little different bands over there, like two actually bands, rock bands, and later on I went to to France. I was so lucky. My mom supported me through that process, and I studied drums in France, and I was like carrying all my little baggage with music, my roots, my tropical cities and influences. And then when I got to France, I was exposed to all the music scene over there, which is a broad music scene. They have jazz, they have punk, they have rock, and I kept learning different music styles, but all keeping my roots and my salsa that I learned in Cali, and all these little rhythms, cumbia of course. And when I got here in LA, I was like looking to form a band or to join someone to keep playing music, and then that was how I met Gloria and Federico. Yeah.
And what about you, Federico?
Musical background, I've been playing music almost my whole life. My dad's a piano player. He grew up listening to jazz. He also played organ in the church in Eastside San Jose, where I grew up. And my parents there, they sing choir. They're the choir directors there. And I picked up playing saxophone in school band for in like 5th grade. High school, I told my band director that I knew how to play the guitar, even though I had 2 chords, and he let me borrow a bass, because I'm like, oh, he has a bass there. And they'll just give you instruments. So that's where I started. I think I started to play bass, but I feel like the bass kind of chose me. I really wanted to play guitar and be a lead player. But from there, I started playing in like kind of different punk bands and metal bands and ska punk bands in the east side of San Jose. It was a very vibrant scene in that time, and just lots of I guess American music, metal, punk. Yeah, Led Zeppelin too, Metallica, and anything from like Rancid. I remember being into bands like that, Operation Ivy, when I was younger. And then when I started going to college, I met up with a group of friends from the East Side too, growing up, and the same friend who I was playing metal with, we started to study Latin music. We started to study anything we can get our hands on, and that's kind of like that kind of period where you're trying to kind of discover a little bit more about your identity and your role as growing up in the United States. And we started studying through that group of friends. I started studying son jarocho through a teacher named Artemio Posadas, and he was an integral point. When I met him, he connected us with the group called Chuchumbe that was out in Veracruz, and they took us out to different rural communities, and I started learning son jarocho from them, and I began to also, because I was playing bass, actually perform and gig with them after a while. So it was a great influence. I also started working with a teacher named Pedro Rosales from the group De Rompe Raja, and I got introduced to Afro-Peruvian music, and I started studying that, and it was very similar. He saw that because the music was similar, like, oh, you can apply what you know to here, to that style of music. So I've just been very fortunate and blessed to work with just many different musicians in the Bay Area, and that's been a big influence in my family, and yeah, I'm just very blessed.
What are your goals as this new formed band, as Viento Callejero?
Man, well, I think we're still experimenting, like I said earlier, and trying to figure out directions we're going. I think we started off, I was very influenced by the big band of the cumbia, like Lucho Bermudez, and we started off learning songs like that, and I was like, man, we can't afford to hire a 20-piece band, so let me just figure out the horn lines and everything on guitar and see what we can do. And you know, we're like, well, we can't have like 5 percussionists, so let's make this guy work and see if he can play. He has 5 limbs, so let's make them all work. And he sings, so it's like...
He'll sing, he'll cook some tacos, he'll do your taxes. Reminds me of like an indigenous god, like the Hindu gods. He really does have like a bunch of hands.
So we're still definitely experimenting with our sound. Federico, I mean, since it's only us 2 with melodic instruments, I mean, he'll respond to some of the horn lines with me and hold down the bass line. So we're still experimenting, but we are like we're really happy with what it's turning out to be so far in the collaborations that we've had come through. We don't have a singer that's a permanent member currently, so what we have are rotating singers, and we have a roster of amazing people.
Fun.
Yeah, it's been fun, and we're like, well, let's throw it out to this person, see if they're down to do it. And so far the response has been positive. Marta Gonzalez from Quetzal agreed to do it, and she's done some gigs with us. Erika Organista from El Jarucuroy has joined us. Lia Gallegos from Las Cafeteras has joined us. Andres Flores from Chuchumbe, and he plays with Sistema Bomb too. He joined us, and we have a list of some other upcoming folks that are going to be joining us. So every time we collaborate with them, it's a learning experience, I think, for everybody, you know, for us and for them, and we mold to them and they mold to us, and it's creating something. So even every song we do, it changes with every person that enters with us.
I feel it really goes along with the name Viento Callejero.
Yeah, yeah, we just scoop them up and then next.
How do your parents feel about your choice to becoming a musician?
Well, when I first started, my mom was like, ay, mija, mejor una doctora, una enfermera. But, you know, I think they saw that I loved it. And, you know, I remember, like, trying to be, like, slick with my dad. And when I turned 15, I was like, hey, pa, mira, I'm going to save you some money. Buy me a guitar instead of throwing me a quinceañera, and it'll last a longer time.
Ah, so smart.
And he got me a really, like, beautiful, like, Les Paul guitar. It was probably, like, $800.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so expensive I couldn't afford an amplifier till 5 years later. But they've been really supportive. My whole family, I think they see what I've done and they've heard me play, and I think they've, you know, they really respect it, and they are very supportive. And I think that's important in general, just having close family and friends that really encourage you, because with this industry, and you have your ups and downs, and it's nice to have that unit to be like, hey, no, échale ganas, keep going, you know. Sure. So yeah, I'm grateful.
That. Gloria, can you share with us a little bit about your experience playing with La Santa Cecilia?
Yeah, it was a really great experience, and I learned a lot from it. I think I grew the most during that period. Musically, more performance-based and business-wise, I think I just learned a lot from the industry. When we first started, I mean, I actually started playing bass in that group, and then crossed over to guitar. And it was just, I think I just developed a lot and figured out the importance of stage presence, or, you know, being able to engage with audience and a crowd and make a deeper connection, as opposed to my schooling, which was just play note for note and play it right, like, because you're getting graded on it. So I think that was more a very different experience, and I think, you know, obviously playing and doing it is the real thing. And I learned a lot in that regard, and I learned about arranging and you know, mixing genres, which is what I wanted to do. And I think very much so in the beginning, there was like free range to do all that. So I think that was very fun to do, and helping me develop how to arrange. And obviously the business aspect was a big learning process for me, to learn about booking and you know, traveling and setting up tours, because we were self-managed for a long time, and I did a lot of work in that regard. So I learned a lot. It was definitely a learning experience, and I think I've taken from that, and I think I learned what I dislike or what I really do like, and you know, learned to figure how to maneuver through this music industry.
How would you describe to us your experience as a female musician in the music scene?
It's, you know, being in school is different from being out in the real world, and I think in school I was definitely the odd one. I was always the female predominantly, or one of the last ones to kind of stick around, and it was an interesting experience. I mean, I always felt like, oh, it's gonna stop me from doing things, or maybe I won't get opportunities because of it, and in some cases it did happen, but I think overall, for the most part, I think it's opened up more doors than closed up doors, because it's more of a rare thing for people to see. And I know people have good intentions when they say this. They're like, oh, you play so good for a girl, or something like that, you know? and I know their intentions are like, you know, I'm not used to seeing
You're
that.
So sweet.
And I've learned to not take offense. But I think before I was like, for a girl? Like, what does that mean? But I think I just, you know, learned to embrace it, and it's a beautiful compliment. And I understand what people are trying to say, that it's not a common thing to see. So I think in most ways, I think it has opened up doors for me, and it's a fun thing for me to challenge myself. I always like challenging myself, and even within this group, it's a challenge to do all these horn lines on guitar, and then we're changing keys with different singers every time. So my intention was to challenge myself. So like I said, I always choose the path less traveled sometimes, but it's all good.
It is all good. Can you please share with us some tour dates, album releases, or other information that you'd like to share with our viewers?
We're in the recording process right now,
Yes,
and we've laid down some tracks, and we're gonna go and lay down some more. And we're excited because all the people that we've mentioned that we've worked with are gonna be part of that album, and hopefully some more folks. And we're hoping to release maybe early 2014. That's the year's coming up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. 2014, early 2014. So we're still in the process, and we're hoping to get it done pretty soon, and you'll be seeing information about it coming out soon.
Cool. I can't wait. I'm so excited to hear what you guys are going to come up with. What song are we going to have the pleasure of hearing you play for us?
We're going to be playing a song called Turbo Max.